Shadow work versus light work. Hey everyone, this is Mo, the Gnostic Warrior, and another live walk and talk as I take you down the path of my life and into my mind. Sometimes it's not always dark, but because I have a lot of shadow work to do, you'll see me talking often about the darkness surrounding us and even my own shadows. And what does it mean by that? The shadow work versus the light work. Basically, all of us have a dark side and a light side to us, an evil and a good. And we have to manage both of them, or they'll come out in other ways in our lives that are sometimes not beneficial to us or our loved ones. And so I wanted to talk about the contrast between the dark and the light. And a lot of you know about Carl Jung talking about the shadow and how we have to face our own shadows. And people you'll hear, even myself, talk about demons and our own demons within us. And often these demons they talk about are all different fractions of the shadow within us all, where some of us have more than others, right? And you would think, because I talk about the darkness and the shadows, that all there is darkness, right? Only demons. But I like to call the white hat demons, and then there's the black hat demons, right? There's, I believe, the people that aren't religious, that maybe they partake in the shadow world, but they're not all dark, right? They have some light within them. What makes me think of these people that go into the shadow world and possibly they're not evil, they're not bad, it reminds me of people like, for example, I've been doing some research into the rock and roll world, right? And one of my favorite bands growing up as a youngster, and even today, is the Ramones. Some of you might be familiar with the Ramones. Rock and roll high school. You know, I grew up essentially to that band and other punk rock bands. And a lot of people would think, the world of, rock and roll and punk rock, it's all dark. I used to wear a leather jacket like the Ramones myself. And what you'll find is there's guys like myself that venture into the darkness, but they're really the white hat demons, right? They're not bad guys, but they're not afraid of the darkness. Joey Ramone, the singer of the Ramones, would be one of these white hat demons. One of these guys, I believed, who went into Hades, right into the darkness, like many of us. There's other people that have been to the dark sides of life. It doesn't mean you were bad or you were evil. You might have been around some of that, but you always felt kind of out of place, but also at home. Kind of weird. When I think about that, I always remember being in these dark places, these shadowy caves, right, of the streets and punk rock and hardcore and drugs. And I always remember having a light within me and knowing what was right and wrong. And when I would see things that would happen that were bad, I would always either walk away, or there was something within me that prohibited me from going that extra mile, or maybe committing a crime that I never would. And there was other guys that would go down that road or to the fringe. And you'll hear me talk about the different levels of the darkness, or what we could say the shadow, right? Or the demon world, or the whatever. So let's talk a little bit about the light. What is the light? Right? So if we think about the light and the dark, if I could put it simply to you guys, it would be like if I was to use this light, right, which is me, my consciousness, which I'm serving you guys, the Gnostic Warrior community. in these walk and talks and with what I do for the last 10, 12 years, if I was to use this to manipulate you, to make money off you, to lie, to serve me, all right? So I would essentially be a black hat, a black magician. It doesn't mean that I don't have light, right? I'm using that light, my consciousness, to serve myself, my ego, with my light, rather than using that light to serve the world. And of course I serve myself in order to preserve myself, in order to operate in this dark world of shadows, right? So this light, what would this light be? You know, I like to dig deeper as a Gnostic, and I like to call myself the Gnostic warrior. It's like, okay, when people are talking about this light, i.e. the Holy Spirit in Christianity, this force, all right, what did they talk about? So they believed, if you research back over time from, you know, the ancient traditions and so forth through today, basically this light came from God, all right, and it was a force that operated through man. So that's why they call us the sons and daughters of God. Okay, so we would be agencies of this light, right? This light up there. Okay, not the sun, but the second sun. Okay, what is the second sun? The second sun is who our ancestors had called God. And in Christianity, the Star of Bethlehem, the morning star, which, of course, Lucifer is the fallen angel, right? And that's phosphorus. It comes from Jupiter. And that light is within all of us, right? So this light called phosphorus, which is called Latin and Lucifer, is the same light that I'm using to speak to you, that I'm using to serve you with these walk and talks, with, you know, what's going on in my head, rather than serving here or serving down here with that phosphorus, right? So that's where you use this for wisdom. You use it for philosophy. You use this light to do good, right? So this would be basically light work. Okay, and shadow work, you got to do shadow work too. So if you're trying to be good and not necessarily be bad, but also understand that we have a dark side within all of us, that you could say, but it's not always evil per se, right? Maybe this is the side of you that likes to have fun and be mischievous a little bit, or listen to some rock and roll and do some dancing and things that nobody would know about, or maybe it's working out and sports. This is your body, right? So you think about it, the shadow work relates to your body, because this is the shadow that holds the light. Okay, this is what they're talking about. So a lot of the times, the dark hats, the people that serve the shadow, they serve the animal self, right? So it's really simple when you think about it. It's the shadow work, you serve yourself. The light work, you serve the light and God, essentially, the deity, whatever you might want to call it, and you do good and you serve with that light, as well as serve yourself and use it to make the world better. It's a participation of what they called in the good. And that's what they called being illuminated. And that's what it's all about when they say being Illuminati. So when you participate with your light and your consciousness and the common good, you're participating in this ancient history of ideas and of knowledge and traditions. All right? And you think about, like, when we look at the world, we're not forced to be bad. We're not forced to take that shadow to the extreme. We're not forced to be demons. We could use that light that we have for good and being authentic and exercising that. So that's what I talk about, is using the knowledge, right? i.e., this would be things we learn in the light, and then use that to serve others and, of course, to live. And it's participation in the good. And we all know what is good. It's common sense, right? So people sometimes have an issue because I have a tendency to confront what I like to call the darkness and the evil, the things that I believe aren't right within our world, but we still allow it as if it's good. Or there's certain stars or people that are doing it, and I believe that it's wrong. And in order to have a better world, especially for my children, I have to shine my light on this darkness by, basically pointing it out and then also adding my philosophy to it as well. Because I'd like to see a lot of the black hats who are controlling a lot of the world today to be removed. Right? So that's basically what I'm doing. I'm going after, if you see what I'm doing, some pretty big whales and fish. Not in the sense that I want to attack them or I want to make their lives hell. I want to shine a light. Whoa. Sorry guys, my headphones came out of my head right here. I want to shine a light on their hypocrisy. Hey, thank you for tuning in, guys. My name's Mo, the Gnostic Warrior. Another walk and talk. It's live, it's unscripted, as you know. I broke my other stick, my selfie stick, the other day as well. So I have an old one that actually hurts my arm. And it's a nice, beautiful day here. Thank you. Hit that like button, please. Tell me where you're from. And again, I wanted to talk about the light today, not just the darkness. I know I have a tendency to, go in the caves and Hades and deal with the demons and the dark hats, the black hats. But there's also white hats like myself that are from Hades, like Joey Ramone and other people. And I wanted to give some more examples of the light. I wanted to talk about possibly an example of a Christian who, by their works, by their life, shows this light, shows this Holy Spirit, and not in a corny way. And this girl it's actually a girl, guys. She's a woman now. She's actually tougher than most of you, tougher than me, tougher than Marilyn Manson, tougher than Nergal, tougher than all these black hats. Right? And I'm trying to think of her name right now, and I can't. But I'm going to as I... So anyways, there's this girl, and please put the name in the comments, and I'll remember as I'm going here. Again, this is live. I didn't think about this. So her name, I don't know, but she's that girl surfer who had her arm bitten off by a tiger shark when she was like 12 years old, and I think it was Kauai in Hawaii, one of the islands. Essentially, she's a pro surfer. And she was surfing with her best friend, Alana Blanchard. Again, it's going to come to me, but she had her arm chopped off, and she had a movie made about her called Unstoppable, and another movie as well. And this woman, she's basically a Christian, and she has a Christian family, and she basically had her arm chopped off, and then she went on to go learn to surf and to basically regain her strength and surf with one arm, essentially. Waves, big waves, huge waves that I wouldn't even surf with two arms. This girl basically had her arm bitten off, and then literally within a month, she's back in the water, right, surfing. And that's not just the story. It's the story of someone operating in the light and the Holy Spirit. So if you see her story and you see this girl and you see this woman today and you see what she's been through, and you know that her faith, and she's a Christian and she believes in, love and Jesus Christ, whatever may have you, she's a real Christian, right? She's someone that is operating in the light rather than in the shadow. She's had to do her shadow work, but not a lot, because essentially she's had the support from a young age. And this is where I see the big difference in a lot of us, and us fallen angels here in the West, as our families and our fathers and our mothers. It's the difference between having a good family and a supporting family that raises you and gives you wisdom and love and supports you, from the other family where you don't have that. You don't have that support, where they're working or they're drunk, or you have a broken family. That's where I see it's harder for us to operate in the light and to learn, because we don't get that wisdom, we don't get that support from our families, like myself, I feel. And I in turn kept repeating that in my first marriage with my boys, and unfortunately they had to grow up from a broken marriage, and I'm suffering the repercussions of that today, and that's the result of I believe my father not giving me the light and the wisdom to teach me how to deal with my shadows. I believe that's one of the important things that you could do. That's why the Gnostics had a saying, know thyself, nothing in excess, right? So it's important that you know yourself, and by knowing yourself, you got to know your shadows and your light, right? You got to work on your shadows. You got to confront yourself. You got to look at yourself in the mirror. You got to be honest with yourself, brutally honest. And that's the hard part. A lot of us aren't honest with ourselves. We're liars, right? We lie to ourselves. We lie to everybody. And we kind of we walk our paths like we're living a lie, and I speak from experience, and I feel the more authentic I be, the more I operate in my light, and the more I do my shadow work, confronting the demons. And also, remember, when I talk about the various drugs and so forth, I had a drug problem. My son has a drug problem right now. I'm going through some dark, shadowy times, and I need to go through this type of work. And then I'm running across this common theme of people losing their minds and killing people and drugs. And so that resulted in the cult of demons. Okay, the demonic fungi, of course, my path there. So I feel like, it's not all been unicorns and rainbows for me, and I have had a lot of darkness and dark times. I've been robbed, kidnapped, so you guys know. Home invasion, robbery. I've been to jail, prison. I've been attacked in my bed when I slept with a 3-foot axe handle, broke my pelvic bone. I woke up literally to someone hitting me. My ex-wife's actually stepfather, came in and hit me when I was sleeping. The time I was selling marijuana in Anaheim. But in any event, I have a lot of shit I've been through. And then, of course, I went to jail and prison and had some dark things happen during that time. And then as I'm trying to do better and go through and work my way into the light, this darkness always seems to come back and haunt me, what they might call karma. And, this is something I want to just show people, and then also deal with my shadow and my dark work and my demons and the demons around me, and not be afraid, and use my light to confront it. And I believe that our culture breeds the darkness, it breeds the lies, it breeds these black hats, even when sometimes they want to be white hats and they want to be good. I feel like our cult, right, that I call it sometimes, with its way that it makes us stupid, and they don't educate us, and our media, our whole education system is basically to make us dumb, where we don't learn the 7 liberal arts, and we don't learn, our religious teachings as well. They're all allegorical. They don't make sense to a lot of us. So a lot of us might grow up in a Christian or Catholic home, but because of the hypocrisy we see of the adults and the parents and in the church, and then the teachings that make no sense to us, we become godless. We become atheists, many of us. And I believe this lack of knowledge, right? They talk about this in the scripture. For their lack of knowledge, my people were destroyed. And if I knew the things I knew now when I was younger, I would have a completely different life. But I always wonder, I have this beautiful wife and my children, and, it's not perfect. Where would I be? So it's weird. It's almost like I feel they make this world the way it is, right? The checkerboard, the Masonic board, the black and white. That's, you have the choice to be a black hat or a white hat, to be an angel or a demon. Some of us make that choice almost unconsciously, I feel, going along with the cult, going along with the program we've been fed into our minds, right? I'm learning that you don't have to. There's plenty of people in this world that are operating in the light, in the good, the common good, with their light, right? All the while recognizing their shadows, recognizing the darkness in the world, and not being afraid to confront it. And thank you. Hey, thanks for tuning in. Doing a long walk. I walked up this hill right here, so I appreciated it. It is, 2 o'clock on this Friday. This week went by fast. I'm not feeling great. I did a mold job yesterday. I had to let go of an employee again. And now, so I'm doing mold removal, and I've been too much in the darkness. I feel it's just I'm getting a little too old for that stuff. But anyway, I did a job yesterday. I did a video on it. But I'm feeling the after effects. I'm starting to realize that this mold business is dangerous. Even with masks on, even when you're doing everything right. Man, if you should see all the pictures that I've taken, all the videos over the last few years, if I could show you guys the dungeons, the hells, the demons, the shadows, my God. And I'm breathing all this stuff in when I go into these houses, guys. All these toxins, all their spirits, all their pathogens, all their whatever, mind you. And I don't think it's good, man. At all. I know it's not. So I'm getting to the point I'm going to have to shut down my mold removal business. Because I don't want the shadows to take me over, the spirits. I don't want to get the toxins from the mycotoxins from the mold. And that's what this stuff does. It's no joke, guys. I talk about toxic mold. When you have it in your house, it becomes pathogenic. And what I do is I remove it from people's houses because that's my business. But I also do inspections, which I like, which is also dangerous because you're going into these houses with this toxic mold, this toxic air, and you're breathing it in. When you work in this field. I believe in the future, virtual property inspections, virtual mold inspections are going to be more common, especially here with COVID and everything that's going on with the crazy world. And then also for the things that I talk about, because it's no joke. And I am starting to realize that it wreaks more havoc on your health than you even know. And I'm getting to the point I don't want to risk it anymore. So what am I trying to say? I'm going to get into virtual inspections. It's essentially you use your phone and a special app, and you could help someone, say whether you're in New York, you're in Texas, wherever you might be. I could use your phone and control it to do an inspection with you to identify if you have a problem in your house or whatever it might be. So these phones actually do a lot of good because I don't have to necessarily be there to see the mold, and I could direct the people where to go, what to do in these inspections. Of course, there's going to be a couple tools that I believe people will need, but I believe this is the future. And again, I'm not no wimp, meaning I'm not afraid of too many things. I'm more afraid to go in someone's house that has mold. Not afraid, but as far as I know the consequences, that has mold, and that's like, say, a pack rat, than going like downtown San Diego around a bunch of criminals and stuff. I'd rather walk down there than go into someone's gross house, some schmoski's house that just doesn't clean it and has a bunch of mold. And I don't mean everybody's a schmoski when I say that. I'm just kind of making a reference on how serious mold is and why it's more dangerous than gangsters or crazy homeless people. And again, I know all homeless people are not crazy. If you listen to my video on real estate, when I did the real estate and homeless apocalypse video a couple days ago from downtown San Diego, I made a lot of mistakes, and I believe it was because I was a little nervous. There was a lot of people and a lot of stuff going around, and I had to watch myself a lot as I was doing it, not being able to think about what I was saying as much. So I had to have kind of one eye on the people and the homeless and different things, and also one eye here. So it's harder to focus and say, do one of these walk and talks, to talk for an hour, right? When you're a little bit nervous. So that's why I believe I screwed up a little. I said things maybe I should not have said, because again, they're unscripted, and then I was a little nervous. You know, these walk and talks help me flesh out, you know, these ideas and share them with you, and then hopefully I could serve you and open up your mind, you know, and then we can start making changes in our lives. So I'm glad that I can help people, you know, with my knowledge about toxic mold, my knowledge about drugs, right? And then also about what's going on with the world. Real estate's crashing. You know, maybe some of you are looking for a house and you're seeing my videos and you're being told lies and not understanding that we're in a real estate bubble that's going to crash in the next year or two. So these homes that are selling for $600, $800, $1 million are going to go down in the next few years. You know, just like the stock market and Bitcoin, you know, all that stuff is it's a casino. It's all bullshit. And the people that you'll find are pushing Bitcoin always have a vested interest in keeping the stocks up and keeping Bitcoin up, or whatever electronic currency that they have, because they make money when it goes up, right? So these are the crypto evangelists, or whatever you might want to call them, like Stefan Molyneux, etc. That guy bugs me. He claims he's a philosopher, but nah, he's a sellout, right? So he has no way to make money. So if you really look at it, he's heavily invested in Bitcoin, and all he does is advocate Bitcoin. And he's an evangelist. He calls it like the new religion, the new Jesus Christ, our Savior, right? Because it's his Savior. He's a philosopher with an agenda, really a black hat. He was a white hat, I feel, Stefan Molyneux. Now he's a black hat bullshitter, right? He got on that Trump, you know, political thing, you know, yada, 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 and then he got banned off YouTube. And then I don't know what else happened, but now all he talks about is like crypto and this and that, and claiming it's like the new religion and it's going to save us slaves from parasites, right? And all us people that are labor. And the guy does nothing as far as work other than do videos and ask for donations, i.e. Parasite Host. How much Bitcoin did he get over the last 10 years? How much money does he have in Bitcoin? Of course he's going to be saying, you know, I'm a Bitcoin evangelist. Anyway, sorry, on that rant, he got on my nerves today because I saw a video on Free Domain Radio of him claiming it was like the new Jesus Christ and new religion and it's going to save humanity. And then you just really look into it and you understand he has an agenda. That's what most people have. And that's where I say they serve themselves. They don't serve the greater good. They act like it, but in reality, they don't. They serve themselves. with these videos and so forth. Excuse me, sorry, I had to spit there. When you're walking, got to clear out, and then I'm around a lot of dead vegetation. So when you have a lot of dead vegetation, there's a lot of spores in the air, right? Because everything's in a state of decay and renewal, like life, like humans, us, and so forth, right? So it's a beautiful day. Take a walk, do your light work, your shadow work. Don't be afraid to face the dark in your own darkness. Be authentic. You know, that's why I believe a lot of people enjoy the walk and talks and they request that I do these. My other content's not as popular, you know. I'm starting to realize that these are, you know, just basically more authentic. I could walk with you in my neighborhood near my home in different areas, and then I could share with you these important subjects, and you guys can count on me to giving it to you real. You might not always agree with everything that I say, but I believe that I put things in a way that helps you guys understand some of these teachings, and also even things you might not agree with. Right? So remember, a Satanist is essentially a person that serves himself. Right? He'll lie, he'll do whatever. I'm not saying all Satanists lie to everybody, but it's essentially a selfish type of religion where they're serving the self, the ego, the flesh. They don't believe allegedly in a God, but they take the name of Satan, who the Catholic Church, of course, made up the name Satan, who came from the name Simon Magus, who became Peter, right? So in any event, atheists are similar to Satanists because remember, Satanists don't believe in God and neither do atheists. So you'll hear a Satanist say, I'm an atheist. Right? So they don't believe really in spirituality. They don't believe in God. They don't even believe in Satan, right? But they're Satanists, practicing Satanists, right? And so there's different levels, keep in mind, of people that either walk the left-hand path is what they'd call it, i.e. a Satanist, and they basically have different levels. Not everyone is an abuser of people. Not everyone is a bad piece of POS person or abuser or whatever, but some are, some will take it to that level and to that fringe where they are in certain levels, like MS-13, killing people and sacrificing in different types of levels, right? So you'll see the black hat kind of thing be exercised in criminal organizations, especially pedophile organizations. Anything that deals with the darkness usually will definitely be more of a left-hand path. They've given themselves over to the evil one, you might say, but they don't know it. They don't believe in it, but they are. And this evil one, I believe, of course, is this hive mind that controls this planet through our bowels, essentially. So these people, instead of being connected to their heart, with their light, with their head, right? This is essentially, you know, when you're doing essentially the pentagram, right? So the Vichuian man, you're kind of turned upside down. You'll find a lot of people that are black hats or serve the darkness. They die younger. They get cancer, right? The black goo in their veins. I believe that we have inserted with us legislators, actually, that seem to do a number on us when we don't live right and we don't treat our fellow humans and the world right. They kind of eat us up. They create cancer. They make people like Nergal scared, where he's got to go to a doctor, a white hat, to get help and really see the light, right? It's interesting, I saw this video of Nergal. And again, keep in mind, I don't think everybody's dark and evil, and they, you know, Marilyn Manson don't have love or light in him somewhere, of course, or Negral. They don't always treat people bad. They do a lot of it for money, for fame, right? To serve thyself. Not serving their light for the greater good, desecrating religious objects of their ancestors, right? Ripping Bibles, burning religious objects of the Mother Mary for money. To serve themselves. That's their art. That's where I have an issue. It's just like, you don't need to attack others. That's my problem with the atheists. And you'll see me, I'm shining a light on their hypocrisy. Yeah, Mo's a little pain in the ass. Once I get onto something, I have a tendency not to stop. And I believe the things that I'm focusing on are actually some of the biggest issues in our society and our culture. And if we all kind of did our part and shined a light on it, and especially these geek atheists on Twitter, and all they do literally is they make money by making fun, mocking, attacking other religions and gods. Literally, I would say 90% of their content is just that. And guys, keep in mind, they're making a living doing this, like making money and selling things and marketing, and they make my channels and my following look like nothing, right? And this is our world. And this is what I hate about it. I'm not hating that they're making money. I'm hating that they're ignorant fools corrupting the youth with no knowledge, and they're basically getting other people to go on and follow them. And they have no gnosis, they have no knowledge, they're not really wise, most of them. And I've listened to a lot of them, guys. I'm willing to listen to anybody, and I have atheist acquaintances and people that believe in God and people that are, have a different religion, whether it be in Islam, Muslim, or whether it be Christianity, Catholic, or people that don't even care about religion, think it's a joke, or Satanist or whatever. I've interviewed people from all walks of life. I interviewed people from the Church of Satan, Freemasons, Illuminati, people from all around the world and walks of life. And I know a lot about what I'm talking about, of the different paths that you could take. Here in the West, they literally almost force us all to take the left-hand path. So you, I, everybody has been on the left-hand path all their life. So this is why I'll call where we live here the Satanic States of America sometimes, even though I call it the Masonic States, because that's how it was traditionally, and that's what I'm trying to help bring back, is our traditional way of life. I'm for liberty, right? I'm actually liberal, but I'm not an extreme liberal in the modern sense that everybody else is today. Right? So I believe that we all have human divinity. We all have that right to exercise that without being suppressed, abused, or lied to. And we should have that right to be without being suppressed or tortured, or black magicians all the time over our heads. So that's what I want to create, is that world where we live in the light and the truth instead of this world of bullshit. And that's the world we've lived in the Satanic States of America. And then if anybody that, we've been in a state of war for I don't know how long. So a lot of it is the result of, the CIA and the FBI controlling the media, and through Hollywood and through CNN, right? Controlling people's minds, controlling what's going to go out there. But you're seeing slowly the truth get out there. You're seeing the gatekeepers, the CIA, right? They basically create honeypots for the sinners, for the black hats. They act as black hats, sometimes as white hats, and they're playing this game. And a lot of it, I believe, it's not to create a permanent hell on earth for the pedophiles. It's to eventually catch them all. That's why you'll see, like, the police, they'll set up a sting, right? They set up a sting, they'll, say have a pawn shop, and they have all the people coming in around the town, and a lot of the people are, of course, bringing in stolen goods, and they don't bust the first guy that brings in stolen goods. They stay there sometimes months, years, and then they develop a network of who all the freaking criminals are, and they start making busts and finding higher up criminals. So I believe that happens all the time. And then now with the Epstein and the Weinsteins and all those guys going down, that we're seeing the end of the era for the black hats. And they're not going to give us all the information. They're not going to tell us in a press release everything that's happening. It's obvious that things are happening now, and it's the Great Reset. I believe that COVID as well is going to be used by certain powers that be to change the world. So that's why we need to get ourselves right. Try to figure out how us plebs can earn a little money without selling ourselves to the shadow, to the darkness, becoming a de facto Satanist, POS. But remember, like I said, we're all kind of forced to live the left-hand path here because we're all born into this individualism. Might is right. Your ego, right? Work on this. And if you don't, you'll get eaten up quick. That's why a lot of us white hats, a lot of us people of the light as children, I believe, we become loners, we become introverts. It's hard for us to make it. That's why I believe I started giving in to the shadow and to the darkness and became an atheist and walking the left-hand path and embracing it, not understanding what I was doing, and all the while destroying myself, destroying the light slowly, making myself more and more unhealthy by living too much in the shadow, in the dark, in the lies. The legislators, right, from Hades, from the abyss, the river Akron, I believe are all around us, right? I believe in all that because I measure it with my instruments and I see it. And I know for a fact that's exactly how this world works. And when we're pieces of shit, they come and eat us like flies on shit. So that's again why you'll see a lot of people that live the evil, dark lifestyle, or they embrace the left-hand path, which they can, and they have the right, as long as they're not hurting anybody, right, that they die young. Marriages break up. They're miserable. They kill themselves. You see a lot of rock and roll people do that, right? Like Chester Bennington from Linkin Park. When you think about it, every day he was kind of living in the shadow world, in the dark, traveling, and then all of his songs were dark. I believe all that played a part on him, and then he's living in this world with all the shadows and the demons, walking away from his wife and his children with all these temptations and these drugs. So what I believe sometimes is the darkness overtakes them, and they're actually children of the light, and they decide they're so miserable, they become so much demons, they hate themselves. They Anthony Bourdain themselves. I know because I was that person. I tried to kill myself before, and I hated myself, what I became. And what did I do at that time? I was embracing the darkness and the selfishness and the drugs and the loathing. So the light, it's important that we exercise it and we use it in love, right? So how I use it, I believe the most, is in my family, and using it by loving them and caring about them, and using it to teach them, and also, of course, to teach you guys. So that's where I believe the light work is operated, and instead of using it to, basically operate in the shadows or spread hate on the internet, you're actually spreading gnosis, or like me as well, I'm shining a light on the darkness, right? So I do have a lot of dark work that I do, but I'm actually shining a light on the evil hypocrisy of our world, or of rock stars who are just people like you and me. And again, I don't believe that they should be able to desecrate or terrorize people's religions to make money for their art. You might disagree. I disagree with you. Welcome to, America. But keep in mind, I come from that world. So coming full circle and seeing what I've seen, I just completely disagree with a lot of what I see in atheism, and then also I see in Satanism and so forth, and again, do what you need to, but I'm going to shine a light on it. That's my belief and so forth. So tell me what you believe. What are you doing to face your shadow, right? What shadow work are you doing? What demons have you faced of yourself? So you'll see I'm usually pretty brutally honest with my past, who I am. I talk often about my drug use when I was younger, my jail, prison. Most people won't admit to stuff like that as well, or they have problems with their anger. That's one of my biggest issues. And again, I realize that's from, I believe, a fungal infection. So when you keep in mind, guys, when you have a fungal infection or you ever are exposed to toxic mold, you never, ever fully get rid of it. Okay? This is a common misbelief. I believe we become symbiotic just like every other organism and tree and so forth. And that's why, when they say you get pneumonia, you always have it essentially. So I always, since I was a youngster, had a little bit of a cough. And I know some people that have had or been in moldy environments, they still have it. So that's why I believe you fix yourself, you avoid mold, and then you, of course, do what you can not to feed it within your body or in the environment that you're in. And then you also be a good person. Remember, I believe there are legislators. There are basically the ones that decide when we're going to go, via cancer, via strokes, via Alzheimer's, we lose our mind. You don't see too many people that are really healthy, that didn't abuse their bodies, that use their mind correctly, get these types of diseases and so forth, unless they're in an area or an environment where it affected them. These would be white hats participating in the good, right? Doesn't mean they don't have a shadow. It doesn't mean they don't have a dark side. It doesn't mean they have their demons, right? It just means that they choose to participate in the common good of humanity, right? That doesn't mean they're perfect, right? So that's another misconception as well of people that talk about, say, people that are enlightened, people that might be the Illuminati or high-level Freemasons. It's act like just because they have this title or they might be who you would call enlightened, it doesn't mean they're perfect. It doesn't mean they don't have their own shadows or their demons that they have to deal with. That's BS. So the people that act like that are actually putting up fronts. They're not authentic. And a lot of them have empires and churches and different things to uphold. And, they've got to put up that act, that persona in the public eye. But you better believe even the most enlightened religious people have shadows and dark sides to themselves, right? It doesn't mean that they're bad or evil. I'm not saying that. It doesn't mean de facto, but some might be. Some might be doing it for money, for a front. So keep that in mind, guys. When you're on your way, be a little easy on yourself. Understand that you're going to mess up, that you're not perfect, that being enlightened or, being a Gnostic doesn't mean that you do everything perfect, right? And I also give myself a pass because how I also was raised by my father and then the satanic cult and, the teachings that I was not given and then the wisdom that I didn't have as a youngster. So naturally, I would make a lot of mistakes and maybe go into the darkness and the shadows and be a stupid little kid and teenager and a punk rocker and go to jail. And, I had no guidance, no people that cared about me at a young age really to show me the way. So I give myself a pass, and maybe you could give yourself a pass and also forgive yourself as well. And I believe that's what, the Christians call redemption. That's essentially, when you say, hey, forgive me for my sins. what are you going to live in the past all the time? Are you that person every single day? Of course, it's who you were. It's a mistake you made, but you can't live in that darkness, in that past, because you'll never grow. You got to use that to grow, to redeem yourself. So that's what I believe about Christian redemption, and believe that that's the road I'm on, or I'm trying, as I'm serving, and then also working, of course, on my shadow work. And these videos, so aren't a selfish endeavor. They actually help me deal with my shadow work, help me deal with the light as well. So anyways, I'm going to have some lunch right now. I'm going to have a rice bowl, I think. And then I'm going to stop by the dispensary, get some medicine. Here in California, cannabis is legal, and I have a medical marijuana card, so I like to partake. I got some work to do on the computer. I'm going to start my virtual inspection business, guys. virtualpropertyinspectors.com. So if any of you are interested or you have ideas and you guys want to start networking, please let me know. I don't want to I'm not going to start this like MLM kind of thing, but I want to start networking with other people that are interested in toxic mold, that maybe want to get into this type of work. And again, the thing that I'm going to create is essentially a app that you use to take inspections and video from remotely. And I have a lot of information and research. I'm not kind of talking out the side of my neck on this. But again, if you guys are interested in it, just drop me a message. Thank you for tuning in to this walk and talk. My name's Mo, the Gnostic Warrior. Please tell me where you're from. Tell me the shadow work that you're doing and what you think about my walk and talk on the shadow work versus the light work. And are you afraid to face your shadows or the shadows around you and the demons while also operating the light? And understand that we all need to do both to get better and evolve as people, to redeem ourselves from the past as well. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I appreciate you again. Have a great weekend. Bye.